Good evening and welcome to NBC Nightly News. It's Thursday, January 20th, 1992. I'm Keiki Cardenas. Tonight we have breaking news coming to us from Russia. Our field reporter Annie Silk was reporting live from south of Chelyabinsk. Annie, tell us about the situation there.
I'm Annie Silk, and I'm standing here 10 miles south of Chelyabinsk, Russia. Just a few days ago, Russian President Boris Yeltsin signed a decree opening up the Chelyabinsk region to all foreigners after being closed and kept secret for approximately 45 years. Chelyabinsk is considered to be the most contaminated spot on the planet, and for this reason, I'm located 10 miles south of it. To give you an idea of the magnitude of the disasters that have occurred in Chelyabinsk, in 1990, standing on the shore of Lake Karachay for 1 hour would give you a radiation dose that would kill you. To give you some background on the pollution that has occurred in this region, I'll start with the creation of the Mayak nuclear facility. In the late 1940s, Chelyabinsk was developed as an armaments building region for the Soviets. Mayak was built as an atomic weapons complex. The Mayak engineers were far more worried about production than they were about safety, and for this reason, there were several major disasters that took place over the span of 30 years. As you can see, the Mayak facility borders a large portion of Lake Karachay and a portion of the Techa River. The first nuclear disaster occurred over the span of 7 years, starting in 1949, lasting through 1956. During this time, the Mayak complex systematically dumped radioactive liquid waste into the Techa Tubul River. This river was the only source of water for the people living in 24 surrounding villages. The 4 largest villages surrounding the Techa River were never evacuated, leaving the people exposed to the radioactive waste. Doctors have estimated that those living along the Techa River received on average 4 times more radiation than the Chernobyl victims. The second nuclear disaster was called the Chelyabinsk disaster, and it occurred in 1957. Russian officials decided the Mayak facility needed to stop dumping nuclear waste into lakes, so instead nuclear waste were pumped into a row of vats. The cooling system of a nuclear waste storage tank malfunctioned and exploded, spewing approximately 20 million curies of radioactivity. This explosion affected 270,000 Soviet citizens and their food. The red areas on this map show the areas contaminated by the Chelyabinsk disaster. The dark red areas represent a higher concentration of contamination. The third nuclear disaster occurred in 1967. In 1967, the Mayak complex had been dumping its radioactive waste into Lake Karachay. A drought caused the water level to go down in Lake Karachay, and as a result, winds spread the radioactive dust 900 square miles, further irradiating the area. The Mayak nuclear facility was kept secret by the Russian government until 1990, so the people living in these areas exposed to the radiation were completely unaware of what was going on around them. The results of the secrecy have been truly devastating. These 3 major nuclear disasters have resulted in 500,000 people being irradiated in this region, exposing them to 20 times the radiation suffered by Chernobyl victims. Between 1948 and 1958, over 17,000 workers received radiation overdoses. Also, when the facility's existence was finally acknowledged, it was discovered that there was a 21% increase in cancer, a 25% increase in birth defects, and a 41% increase in leukemia. 65% of locals near the Techa River were stricken with radiation sickness. However, their illness was termed special disease by doctors because the facility was kept a secret. Also, approximately 1 billion gallons of groundwater have been contaminated as well. In an attempt to ameliorate the disaster, officials decided to cover Lake Karachay with concrete blocks to stop contaminated sediments from blowing away. The ultimate outcome of these 3 disasters has been less than ideal. Although Lake Karachay is full of concrete now, the area is still unsafe. Cofferdams are being used to treat nuclear waste by the Techa River, but water from the upper part of the river still cannot be consumed. Today, many parts of Chelyabinsk remain uninhabitable. I'm Annie Silk for NBC Nightly News. Back to you in the studio, Keiki.
And we'll keep you updated as the situation unfolds. For now, I'm Keiki Cardenas for NBC Nightly News.